In this video, I will show you how to create an awesome YouTube thumbnail using ChatGPT in 4 different ways. Alrighty, so the most obvious way for you to use ChatGPT to create a thumbnail is by asking it to create an image. And by the way, you can do this also on the free plan, but I think that it's limiting you to like 3 pictures per day or something like that. But for instance, here I have typed create a photo, realistic image of a person with short light brown hairstyle and whatnot. And basically I'm just describing myself to the AI. And if I hit enter, I will get an image like this. Well, now the problem is that it's in the wrong aspect ratio. So let's actually tell it to use the YouTube thumbnail aspect ratio, which is 16:9. And there we have it. Now the problem is that this looks like a 3D character and also it doesn't look like me. So now we can download it and I can use an online face swapping tool to make myself appear in this image. So for instance, I'm using this pixels.com, but you can use a free AI tool. I will leave links into the description. We'll drag the thumbnail here. Then I will drag and drop a profile picture of myself here. So now I'll click generate. And there we have it. So as you can see, if we compare it with this image, wait a second, I'll drag it here. So here is the original image and here on the right hand side is the face swapped image. So although those don't look exactly the same, but there are clearly some characteristics, because if we compare this with the original thumbnail, this doesn't look like me at all, but this one is much closer. And now what you can do is you can download this image, then you can, for example, upload it into a tool like Canva, and now you can add some text into the view. So for instance, the way I usually do it is that I add the text into the background. So I will copy this image and paste it. So now I'll have 2 images on top of one another. Then I will click on the remove background feature here. Then it will extract myself from the image. So now I only have the background image and then myself extracted out now nicely. So now what I can do is click text, add heading. For instance, we can do something like my 2025, something like that. And I can click on the text. I will change the color to, for instance, white. I will make it larger. Let's put it this big. I can click on the position. I can click on backward. And now it appears behind me. And also one thing I can do is if I want to emphasize this text, I can actually click on the text, I can click on the effects, click on lift, drag the intensity to its fullest. Actually, I think that only saying 2025 here looks even better, just for the sake of demonstration. So let's put it here, let's drag it behind, and here we go. So now if I was making a video about my 2025 goals or something like that, this could be my thumbnail. But to be brutally honest, the problem with this one is that at least for me, this doesn't look too realistic. So it looks almost like a 3D character, especially this one. So this instantly looks like it's not a real image. But this is still better in my opinion than using a tool like Paint or something to create those super amateurish looking thumbnails. So this is still a bit better than that. To be brutally honest, I think this is not the most optimal way for you to use ChatGPT. So let's jump into the next use case. And that is using ChatGPT to create a background. So for instance, here I'm telling ChatGPT to create, once again, a 16:9 image, which is a YouTube thumbnail size, of an office space that is dark. In the center there's a computer, the lighting is teal and orange, but very dim, and then give it a bit of a dramatic vibe. And this way I can create a super nice looking background for one of my thumbnails. So this step is not creating the thumbnail entirely with AI, but it's once again doing it step by step, and this is the first step. And now let me show you how big a difference it actually makes when you have a background like this versus when you don't. Okay, so here's the initial version. So I have a thumbnail about the AI apps of 2025. And as you can see, it's actually very minimalistic and it looks decent, but I think that it's just missing something because there's only text and myself. So let's add the nice background that I just created using ChatGPT here to spice things up a bit. And here we have it. And also I can make myself stand out by adding a gradient, and I can put the gradient behind me. So now it's actually highlighting myself here. And then if the background is too bright, for instance, I think there's quite a bit happening in this image right now. You can also drag down the transparency. So this could be something that we could go with. So something like half transparency. And then we could also add some AI app icons here into the image. Again, if I'm brutally honest, this is nothing too impressive, but this is just there to spice things up for you. So in fact, if you want to find the best AI thumbnail creator that does all this for you and makes it much more impressive than what you see right here, I actually recommend checking the video that I just published. I have left a link to it in the description too. So there you don't have to do anything. You don't need to move the text around. You don't need to create those gradients. You don't need to edit your photos or anything. You can just tell the AI what you want to do, and that is it. It will take care of the rest. Then the next obvious way for you to use ChatGPT is by telling it to give inspiration for your thumbnail. So here I have asked AI, I am making a YouTube video about the AI apps. I want to create a thumbnail. Can you give some simple tips? And here you can actually see these awesome little tips that the ChatGPT is writing me. And now once again, you can open up a tool like Canva to implement these tips. And by the way, these are not set in stone. These are not following some kind of an equation. These are just there for you to use some of these. So don't think that these are all these things that you need to do, because if you want to do everything at the same time, then it's going to be a complete mess. And in YouTube thumbnails, I think simple is beautiful. And heck, you can even tell the AI to turn this into a thumbnail if you want to. Now, if we're brutally honest, you can see that this looks very generic. So thumbnails like this have existed for at least 2 years now. And if somebody sees one of these thumbnails on YouTube feed, you can instantly tell that, okay, this is an AI generated video, an AI generated thumbnail. This is something you should not watch because it's somebody who's just trying to make money by doing lazy work. So I don't recommend creating thumbnails directly on ChatGPT, but this can give you still some inspiration. So you can use these colors, these gradients, you can use these elements here, and also you can use these tips right here. And last but not least, I think one of my favorite ways to use AI or ChatGPT to create a YouTube thumbnail is by asking for feedback. So for example, let's drag and drop the image of the previous thumbnail that I created. So this is definitely not perfect. I would say that this is like 5 out of 10. So I'm just saying, can you give feedback to improve this thumbnail? So here it's saying that we could slightly reduce the spacing between the letters for a compact look. That we could use some color contrasts here. We can do some hierarchy. So for instance, we could use the year number or something like that. We could add a vignette effect to focus attention. We could increase the contrast in this teal and this orange color. So as you can see, it's pretty dull. You almost can't see the color gradients right now. So I definitely agree with this. And yeah, this is actually great. So add a subtle outline or drop shadow around the person. Then we have some call to actions, branding and style. Pretty much agree to all of this. So this is a pretty boring and a pretty basic YouTube video thumbnail. So we could do a lot of these tweaks to make it look a lot better. So now that I have implemented some of these changes that ChatGPT gave me here, I think that this is actually looking a bit better. Of course, once again, this is just to demonstrate, so this is not a perfect one. Usually I spend a lot more time on these. But as you can see, you can use ChatGPT to create these backgrounds, and then you can also use ChatGPT to get ideas to your existing thumbnails.